Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah. We have discussed on this nature of existence and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how we as Muslims must be able to live in this dunya, practicing Islam at the highest level of ihsan, or love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and love of all His creatures, and understanding the nature of how we can bring about this idea of existence and consciousness, and also understanding the nature of the conscious and subconscious mind, and how we can actually develop a framework of positive Islamic psychology that is consonant with the new studies in neurosciences, as well as the inherent intrinsic truth that you find in the Quran, in the Sunnah, and the great works of our scholars. So one of these ideas that I'm going to bring about is the idea of that was discussed throughout the centuries of the nature of the conscious and the unconscious and the supraconscious mind. Okay, this has been discussed in many writings of the past and even currently. So we have a worldview which is, for example, this is the current worldview of those who are saying that this physical body is all that we have. That means this worldview is our physical body that encompasses our mind, all right, our conscious mind and the subconscious mind is all that we have. In fact, at one time in behavioral psychology, we only have the conscious mind. The whole idea of the unconscious mind is also rejected. So we human beings are just a mechanical machine living in this physical body, and enclosed within this physical body is our mind, both conscious and subconscious or unconscious mind. Both of them are intrinsic in the neurology, in the neurons, in the cells in your brain, in the hormonal, in the neurotransmitters, and all the physiological changes that we as human beings live in this world. All and everything is within the body. Nothing is outside it. So you have no connection to the universe. You have no connection to anybody else. You are your own being. You are a mechanical being having no purpose, no meaning. This is the secular materialistic ideology that was brought by Freud and Descartes before him, and those who bring this idea of atheism. So this physical body is all that you have. You have your conscious mind, and then also you have the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind, whichever term that they use. But from the Islamic perspective, the truth is that we come from the realm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah created us, when Allah causes the Big Bang, all right, the Big Bang that we all know 13.7 billion years ago now is scientific proof. Allah commanded kun, be, and became, and it expanded to become the billions and billions of galaxies, super galaxies, clusters, and all that you can imagine beyond space, throughout this physical universe that you cannot even imagine. That is just a command of Allah. Even that is infinity. The command of Allah is when manifested into a physical thing, even that we cannot count. So from the realm of Allah, Allah created the supra-consciousness. This supra-consciousness is what we term within Islamic psychology our spiritual, emotional, and mental self. Because this mental self will have the three components. You have the conscious mind, the unconscious or the subconscious mind, and the supra-conscious mind. So when we talk about Islamic psychology, we must know that our mind transcends time and space. So where does this reside? If we look at our model, we have the S, E, M, and P. Each of them represent one aspect of our realm. So we have the spiritual. Where does the spiritual reside? Where does the emotional aspect reside? Where does the mental aspect reside? Where does the physical aspect reside? The physical side is no problem because we know we have a physical body. So just like the same idea that we have within the current idea of we being a neurological being only, everything resides in the brain, so our mind is in the brain. So they have this P that may take in this area. Okay, we can concede that. But what about this? this is where our spiritual self, spiritual realm, our qalb, this is our roh, our qalb, and our akal. This is the spiritual aspect. That is a supra-conscious mind that is linked together. So we have a greater body of truth. And this is proven by the whole idea of quantum physics, quantum mechanics. Is also proven by the idea of many other mystical experiences that we encounter, and many more ideas that as we live in the supra-conscious realm, our mind is linked to the roh, to the qalb, to the akal, and all these things is actually comprehending our total self as we exist on this earth. So we have a far better idea, a far more holistic, a far more balanced understanding, because once you understand this, then you are a being that live with the conscious mind. So we use all our faculties of our brain that Allah has given, all the more than 100 billion all the neuron cells that Allah has given us. We use all that to make our life good, in the sense of we have knowledge, we have sciences, we have whatever that we want to learn as a learning process. But this learning process is then linked to our unconscious or subconscious mind, and it's also linked to the supraconscious mind. So the realm of knowledge in which we can imbue ourselves is infinite. We are not limited by time and space. We are not limited by this physical body. So that is the difference between these two models. So if we are going to get into a debate, which is a better model, this is a far better model. So we have our conscious mind, we have our subconscious mind, we have our supraconscious mind linked to the realm of the Creator. When He created us, we live both within time and space, and we live outside time and space. And from that understanding, our possibilities to become achievers, the infinite possibilities to become achievers in the real sense, is so far much greater in this idea of Islamic psychology, that we should do a lot of studies, a lot of research, and how we're going to integrate this whole idea, so that we can then tell our brothers and sisters who are these atheists, who believe in only the physical body is the all thing, and all thing that you have the conscious and unconscious mind within your brain, that we transcend death. So we don't die in reality, because the supraconscious mind, even without the physical body, is existent, because what Allah has created will go on and on in another realm that Allah has created, because dimensionally there are many dimensions in which now quantum mechanics is trying to prove that, and they have said, okay, first there's the 4, now there's 8, maybe 7. In the Quran Allah talks about the 7. Alright, we do not know, but these are research in terms of the nature of consciousness that Muslims, neurologists, Muslim psychiatrists, Muslim scholars, Muslim philosophers reclaim our position in this history in the 21st century, a very critical juncture in which, if we can understand that we have a far, far beautiful model of the nature of existence and the nature of the conscious, unconscious, subconscious, and supraconscious mind, we would then be able to formulate a way forward for all the Muslims in the world and for all humanity, inshallah, to lead a better life, to become good, to help others to be good, to make the world good, to realize our position as a true servant and Khalifah of Allah, striving to achieve the best, fulfilling the best, receiving the best, and giving the best to the world, that we get the mercy and the blessing of Allah, living beyond space and time, living in the realm which Allah has blessed us with, in the realm in which we cannot imagine or say, in the realm of Jannah, which Allah has ordained for us and for those who do good and help others to be good and make this world good, inshallah.